There we go.
Got it. Okay. All right. So here, let me share my screen. Whoops. You know what? I didn't allow other people to share.
No, I was reminding you.
Yes. Okay. All participants. Okay. We've got it. Now I'm going to share. Okay. Okay. Yeah, don't mind my messy. Okay. Boom. Okay. Okay. Huh. Done. Okay. I want a slideshow. Okay. Welcome to Tea and Turtle Stitch 2, week 11. And we have the wonderful Walter Bender, who's going to tell us about Frisky, Fibonacci Nautiluses, and Coke Snowflake Fractals. So go ahead and open, while I'm doing these opening slides, go ahead and go to your Turtle Stitch. Log in and sign in and get yourself a opening programming environment. Okay, so I prepared a little slideshow, especially for teachers, about the Fibonacci and Fibonacci nautiluses, and why you might things that you might want to explore alongside of coding them with your students. Okay, so the Fibonacci nautilus, and this is what we're going to be making today, is it's called a nautilus because it looks like a nautilus shell. And the Fibonacci series is a sequence where each number is the sum of the two previous numbers. So you see the 0 and 1 is 1, 1 and 1 is 2, 1 plus 2 is 3, 2 plus 3 is 5, 3 plus 5 is 8. So that's what the mathematically the series is, but it's really interesting. I'm going to play this in the background for Walter because it's
The
Fibonacci
sequence
music.
is a series of numbers where each number is the sum of the previous two numbers. The numbers in the sequence have extraordinary mathematical properties and can be found in patterns all throughout nature. So I decided to see what they would sound like as music. To create the melody, I assigned the numbers 1 through 8 to the E major scale on the keyboard and added 0 and 9 on each side with the natural extension of the scale. I played the resulting melody with my right hand and added harmonies with my left hand. Now, the first number of the Fibonacci sequence is 0, but 0 added to itself just equals 0 forever. In fact, that's what you've been hearing in the background. In order to start the sequence, we need to add a 1. The Fibonacci sequence
Oops.
is a series of numbers.
Well, you
where
can listen
each
to
number-
that. I thought I could play it in the background, but I guess I can't. So this Fibonacci series appears in nature and it appears in plants. And you can see that the pineapple, the sunflower, desert succulents, ferns, pine cones all have this. It also appears, if you count flower petals, the flower petals will appear in Fibonacci numbers. So you can see each of these flowers has a Fibonacci number of petals in it. It also appears in movements in nature, for instance, waves and hurricanes. It also appears in cats. And I thought I would show a few Fibonacci cats in their natural poses. So there you go. Oops. So I'm going to escape and I'm going to turn this over to Elin, who's going to be our robot, and Walter Bender.
All right, I love the Fibonacci cats. That's cool.
They're fun, aren't they?
All right, so thank you, Susan and Cynthia, for asking me to do this today. So we're going to start off with not quite jumping right into Fibonacci. We're going to start off by learning about a new block or a new set of tools inside of Turtle Stitch that I don't think that you've been exposed to before. I know it was new to Susan. And sometimes, I mean, all the things we're going to be doing, you could do without this, but it's a lot easier to do it with this new tool. Sometimes just having the right tool makes the job a lot easier. So the tool that we're going to explore today is something called a reporter. And if you could just go to the operators block for a second. The operators block is populated with lots and lots of reporters. And what a reporter does is it just reports back a number, or it reports back a result. Doesn't have to be a number necessarily, but today we're going to just use numbers to report back. So for example, the plus operator reports back a sum. The minus operator reports back a difference. The times operator reports back the product, et cetera, et cetera. So we're going to make a new operator today, a new reporter today. That'll serve as an operator. And the first one we're going to do is just going to be a simple reporter based on an existing reporter, the random number reporter. So I think the random number reporter is up a little bit higher. Pick a random. So drag one of those out. And also just go back to grab our reset and our embroidery straight stitch too, because we'll need those. Running stitch, yeah. Perfect. Thank you. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a reporter that just does a coin flip. It's just going to be heads or tails, and we're going to assign 0 to heads and 1 to tails. So we want to use pick random 0 to 1. And if you click on that, you'll see keep on clicking on it, and you'll see that it sometimes reports 0, sometimes reports 1. You can see the report, what it reports when it's not attached to anything else is just in that little thought bubble. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a new reporter called coin flip. So if you go back to the operators palette, and you'll see that, and scroll back up to the top of that palette, you see those gray things there. The first one on the left lets you make blocks. The one in the middle lets you make a reporter. And the one on the right lets you make a conditional, but we're not going to worry about that today. So we're going to make a reporter. So click on that, drag that out. And I think if you click on it to edit, no, I'm not doing this right. I'm giving you bad information.
You don't need to, you can ignore that.
Okay, just go and hit the plus sign over there instead on the palette.
Oh,
No.
plus?
Yeah,
That's
there.
Yeah,
Oh.
now see where it says reporter? So right now green is command. Down below, go to the reporter one instead. Now, and now hit OK.
Well, you want to give it a name.
Oh yeah, got to say coin flip. All right. So it's our coin flip, and you'll see that it's got this box in there now called report. And report's going to return the answer. So why don't you drag that pick random into the reporter argument there, into the little box right there. Perfect. And hit OK. And now if you go to the bottom of your operator palette, there should be a new block called coin flip. And if you drag that out and click on it, click on it again. And now we've basically encapsulated that random operation into our coin flip block. So now whenever we want to have a coin flip, we don't have to go and set things in random. We can just use coin flip to do something. So let's use coin flip to do something. So let's make a stack of blocks, and we're going to start with if you go to the control palette, you will find on the control palette that there is a block called if else. You guys used the if else block before?
I've used it with microbits.
Okay.
But-
Right. So it's sort of does what it sounds like. If the condition, if the predicate is true, it does what is in the first slot there. And if the predicate is not true, it does the else. So, and now what we're going to do is we're going to put in a predicate. And so if you go back to the operator palette, you'll find the predicates are a little right, actually right there. Grab the equal predicate.
Put it
So
inside.
yeah, and put if coin flip is on the left of the equal and put 0 on the right of the equal. So it doesn't matter either way because equal is transitive. So put a 0 there. So if the coin flip returns a 0, it's going to do the first what's in the first slot, and otherwise it's going to do what's in the second slot. So let's put stuff in the slots. How about if we put in the slot, the first slot, drawing a triangle? So you know how to draw a triangle? You go to motion and move forward some amount, and then you're going to turn and then move, turn. And you have to make sure that your turns all add up to 180 degrees. Actually, that's the inner angles. You need to make them add up to
360.
360. Right.
Um,
Yeah, and you just need 2 more turns.
Sorry, I'm using my trackpad, which is not.
use a repeat 3.
Sure, that might
Repeat 3.
be easier.
Repeat
Yeah.
3. It's better to build it before you put it in if.
Okay. And I know I need to change the
Yeah, maybe change the angle to 120. And maybe make it be a little bit bigger than 10. Maybe make it be 50 or something, just so it'd be easier to see.
And click on it to see if you like it before you do anything.
Well, hit reset for, oh, okay. Yep, that looks like a triangle.
Okay.
Great. All right, so now stick that into, that's our first one. And now let's make the other one be, say, a square or some other shape. So
So
you could almost even just copy what you already have and make
Yeah.
it 4.
oh yeah.
duplicate repeat 3. Okay. Put the repeat 3 back where it belongs.
And then make this be a repeat 4. But how many degrees do you want to turn for a square?
360 divided by 4.
Is 90?
90.
Absolutely.
All right, so try that out just to make sure it works.
Oh,
Yay, all right, and I'll stick that in the else. And now hit reset again. And now let's just see what happens. Click on it. We get a triangle, click on it again. Square. So now let's, just so we can tell what's going on, let's just add a move at the very end. Just so it moves over another, have it move up, to say. Yeah, or 75. Oh, they'll overlap, but that's okay. All right, so let's reset and try it again. Yeah, keep going.
Keep
Just
going.
keep going.
Nice design. Keep going.
Wow, okay, so it went heads, tails, heads, tails, heads, tails, tails, tails.
Mm.
All right, great. So why don't everybody play with a coin flip and see if you can make it your own coin flip and make some pattern with that. That'd be great. Take a little playtime or tinker time. Does anybody have any questions about coin flip while everybody's tinkering?
Nothing in the chat.
Okay,
So
good.
I think you've done a successful job.
So anyway, so we're going to take this idea of writing reporters and we're going to use it for when we do Fibonacci. So why doesn't everybody just take a quick moment to do something with coin flip? And you could use coin flip for, anything. You could use it for how big the triangle is, or whether the triangle's equilateral or isosceles, or whether it's, I don't know, anything you want. So.
Or whether to print my name or yours.
Right. So, great.
You
Yeah, so,
want me-
yeah, you're going to find that being able to write your own reporters turns out to be a really powerful idea, and it's already sort of cooked into Turtle Stitch in the existing operators, but especially if you're going to be working with some older kids who are starting to get into some more interesting math, letting them be able to write their own reporters is super powerful.
Oh, let's see, Sarah. Could you,
You want to see my screen?
Yeah.
yes, please, could you,
Okay.
yeah,
It says I can't.
yeah, because try again.
Oh, okay, got it. Sorry, I
And
didn't. look it
let
up.
go.
Right, I understand. Okay, here's,
Michael Temple. Hi, Michael.
okay, so
Hi,
let me just
Cynthia.
make this a little wider. I was narrow to see everything. So see how I got all those triangles with one
Yeah.
square in the middle?
Yeah.
It just seems odd to me that a coin flip that should be random would just give me so many triangles. I flip back to look and see what was done in the Zoom, and it seemed more random.
Let's see your coin flip.
You want me to reset and do it? Is that what you mean?
No, I want to see the code.
Can you not see my code?
No, open the coin flip operator.
Oh, sorry. Got it.
But I would just say, today's your day. You should be playing Yahtzee.
Yeah, right.
That's a good thing. Okay, I see it. It's fine.
Yeah, I think
I will admit I did it wrong first, which was I did 1 and 2 because I didn't see the 0 and 1. And even though I understand the logic of 0 and 1, I figured any two numbers would work, but it didn't.
any two numbers would work as long as you're comparing to one of the two numbers. And the
Yes.
number,
Oh, okay. So it might have been the same thing where it just was doing the same thing and I didn't wait long enough for it to
We'll
check.
reset and now it wants you to click. That's all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I did.
I
but
mean,
see?
see, look. Well, that's random.
Well, more than before. What you saw before had one triangle in all of those.
Yeah.
So it's still random. I just thought it was interesting that
Yes, it is.
math is in that. It didn't seem quite right, even though
See-
I get that it's totally random.
You're powerless over it.
Yeah. Right.
So
It's
that's
actually-
interesting, and that you're not the only one that's going to feel that way.
Right.
like if you play the game rocks, paper, scissors,
Yes.
turns out that 3 in a row of the same thing is still quite random, and most people won't do that. And that's how computers win a lot, playing rocks, paper, scissors, because they're better at generating random numbers than people are. So anyway,
I want to show Cynthia's.
all right.
What's mine? Oh,
Wait. Run turtle. Okay, here we go.
oh, mine.
Cynthia wins.
Yeah,
Cynthia wins.
it knows.
All right.
Just,
That's fun. All right. Does anybody else want to share their tinker, or should we move on to the next thing? All right. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to use Reporter to generate a Fibonacci number. So the idea is this time we're going to give our Reporter a number, and that number is going to be which number in the sequence, the Fibonacci sequence, we want to return. So if the number is, 1, we'll return the first number in the Fibonacci sequence. If the number is 2, we'll return the second number in the Fibonacci sequence. If the number is 3, we'll return the third number, et cetera, et cetera. So, but the way we're gonna do this is we're gonna use something called recursion. And I'm gonna explain why in a sec, but let's look at the definition of Fibonacci again. So, can we share? I guess I'll share my screen for a second and show the project thing that we wrote up. So this is the notes that Susan and Cynthia wrote up. And again, we'll just review. I mean, in this case, we could start Fibonacci at 0. Some people start at 0, some people start at 1. But in any case, you need to start with 2 numbers, because the rule for Fibonacci, and I'll change this as well, just while we're in it here. The rule for Fibonacci is you take the last 2 numbers in the sequence in order to make the next number in the sequence. So if you don't have 2 numbers, you don't have a place to start. So because there is no last 2 unless you have at least 2 numbers. So we'll have to start somewhere. And in fact, it really doesn't matter where you start. You could start with any 2 numbers and make a Fibonacci-like sequence. But in nature, it's typically 0 and 1 or 1 and 1. It doesn't really matter. But you could start with 15 and 18 if you wanted. It doesn't really matter. The sequence then will proceed and be similar to any other Fibonacci sequence, although not identical. So what we're going to do is we're going to define the first 2 numbers in our Fibonacci sequence as 0 and 1, and the rest of the sequence will be defined by this formula, which is the Fibonacci of number n is equal to the Fibonacci of number n minus 2 plus n minus 1. Does everybody sort of get that algebra?
No, they don't.
They don't. Okay.
No.
So again, the way if I want to find out what's the Fibonacci, so I'm going to do something else too, okay? The first Fibonacci number, the second Fibonacci number, the third Fibonacci number, the fourth Fibonacci number, the fifth Fibonacci number, the sixth Fibonacci number. Okay, so if the first Fibonacci number is 1, and the way I get 1 is I add 0 and 1. I'm sorry. The second Fibonacci number is 2. I add 1 and 1. So I'm actually going to draw the line here because now it starts to get interesting. I've sort of had to predefine this. So if now I got 1 plus 2 is 3. I can't figure out what the 5th number is unless I know what the 4th number is. I can't figure out what the 4th number is unless I know what the 3rd number is, because I always have to look back in order to figure out what 2 numbers to add. So I have to look back earlier in the sequence in order to figure out what's next in the sequence. And so this process of looking earlier in the sequence is where we're going to take advantage of recursion. So if I want the 6th Fibonacci number, which is 13, I need to know what the 5th and the 4th Fibonacci numbers are. So the way my Fibonacci is going to work is I'm going to use a reporter, and the reporter is going to report back the sum of the previous 2 Fibonacci numbers. That's all it's going to do. It's just going to say, you want the 6th Fibonacci number? I'm going to give you back the sum of the 4th and the 5th Fibonacci numbers. You want the 5th Fibonacci number? I'm going to give you back the sum of the 3rd and the 4th Fibonacci numbers. That's starting to make sense to people? Or is it still, it'll make more sense when we actually do it. But, so how would you figure out, anyone who wants to speak, somebody tell me how you would figure out what the fifth Fibonacci number is? What logic would you use? Any volunteers?
You would add the third and the fourth.
Exactly, okay, and how do you get the fourth? Because we're gonna add the third and the fourth, we need to know what the fourth is. How are we gonna get the fourth?
Add the second and the third.
Right, and how are we gonna get the third?
Add the first and the second.
Right, so it goes on and on. So you can see that in order to calculate a new Fibonacci number, we need to know the previous Fibonacci numbers. So we're gonna just keep on asking our reporter to tell us what those numbers are. So we're gonna have our reporter call itself, and that's called recursion. Because our reporter is gonna go and tell us what the previous numbers were. Now, the only trick to this is, again, that end condition, when we run off the end of our sequence, and we don't have a previous number or a previous two numbers ago in our sequence, that's why we have to define the first two numbers up front.
Could you show us some code?
Yep.
Because
Here's-
just talking doesn't help.
Okay, so here's some code. And in this case, what we're gonna do is Fibonacci number, this is now a command, not a reporter. I mean, I'm sorry, this is a reporter still. And it's gonna either report back the sum of the previous two Fibonacci numbers, or if the number itself is less than 3, if it's one of the first two numbers, it's going to report back 1. So what's going to happen is that if I say I put in a 5 here initially, I want to report back our Fibonacci of 6 Fibonacci number. It's going to come in here and it's say, okay, 6. Well, 6 is not less than 3. But so I'm going to report back the Fibonacci number of 6 minus 1, which is 5, plus 6 minus 2, which is 4. So I'm going to report back the Fibonacci number of 5 and the Fibonacci number of 4. So, but what is the Fibonacci number of 5? Well, it's calling this reporter again. Now I come in with a 5. Oh, 5 is not less than 3. So I'm going to come back with the Fibonacci number of 4 and the Fibonacci sum of Fibonacci 4 and Fibonacci 3. And it's just going to keep on calling itself over and over and over again till finally it comes in and says, oh, well, the number I want is 2. Oh, I'm just going to report back 1. Or the number I want is 1. I'm just going to report back 1. So this part here, the first part, this if, is called a stop rule. It tells the recursion when to stop. Because the recursion could go on forever and ever, but we need to have some way of telling it to stop and finally report back. So why doesn't everybody try to write a little Fibonacci like this? And then we can apply it.
Why don't you get Elin to do it on the screen?
Sure. Yep.
So we can follow along.
All right, let me stop sharing my screen. All right, robot. Finn.
In
So we're making another reporter, a new reporter, yep. You can just call it Fibonacci, that's good.
I call it, yeah.
Right. And we want to pass Fibonacci a number because we know which Fibonacci number we want to create. And now if we want to start off, if the number is one of the first two numbers, so if it's 1 or 2, if it's less than 3, then we're just going to report back 1. Or if we wanted to, we could report
Pull
back,
out an if.
yeah.
You need to have a conditional
Yeah.
or a
You're-
stop rule. Yeah, it's further down. Oh, yeah, you got it.
Okay. So we're going to do that, and we're going to have a conditional. So you need to go back to the operators and grab a predicate, the less than predicate.
Well, but you can put the report into, oh, well,
Into that,
yeah,
okay,
Love
and
it.
then,
Great. And then the predicate you want. Well, you know, let's do this. Let's do the one where we start with 0 and 1. So that, well, no, let's just do it this way. This is simpler. Just do less than, the less than predicate, which is right below pick random.
See, they don't know that term, Walter,
Okay,
that predicate.
Predicate.
Uh,
okay, this is just,
I would call it the less than or equals or greater than.
Yeah. Anyway.
block.
So we want to we want to see is our number less than 3? So put a number in the left part of the less than. And put 3 in the right part of the left less than.
Sorry.
Okay, and attach that right up there. Perfect. Okay, so that's the first part. So now if the number's less than 3, we're just going to give back our 1. And that's how we're going to seed our Fibonacci sequence. That's our stop rule. But what do we do otherwise? What if the number is greater than 3 or 3 or greater? Then we want to report back the Fibonacci number of number -1 plus. So now we need a sum. We need a plus, that guy. And we're going to put in one of the pluses, we're going to put, actually, I think you need to hit apply or OK or something so that we can get the Fibonacci function at the bottom.
Why?
Oh, okay.
Right,
And
so
then if you scroll down
scroll
on,
down to the
in the,
operator's palette. Now there should be, yeah, great. You need, grab a couple of those. We need 2 of those.
Oops.
Okay, one is going to go in one side of the plus and the other is going to go on the other side of the plus because we're going to sum up 2 Fibonacci numbers.
Oh, so should I put it inside the block editor?
Yep.
Okay.
it doesn't matter, you're going to put 1 on each side.
Yep. Okay, and what we're going to put in the first one is number -1 and the second one's going to be number -2.
Oops. Oh.
Okay, so now there's just one more thing we need to do because this is going to calculate the number, but we need to report this number back. So if you go to the control panel about halfway down, you'll find the report block. Maybe a little bit more than halfway down. Keep going. There it is.
Oh. Mhm.
So we're going to report that value back.
So this goes
The thing goes into the
Right.
whole,
No, yeah,
the whole thing.
yeah.
Yep.
And that goes at the after the if. And now we've got a Fibonacci. So let's try it out. So if
just
you
go to operators.
operators,
Oh, sorry.
palette. And let's just put a number in. Okay, the third Fibonacci number is 2 because that's 1 plus 1. Hey, I think it's working. Great.
Yay.
Now,
you-
if you wanted to print it, use draw text. See if it'll work with
Yeah.
draw text.
Yeah, this is a lovely example that Cynthia put into the class notes.
Pull out draw text
Text.
and stick Fibonacci number where it says hello. No,
Just
Put
stick your
Oh,
operator.
oh, oh, got it.
Yeah.
So stick this in.
There.
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Now this is the,
Yeah,
Yeah.
you did it.
all right.
Now
Now
click
see if
on
that'll work. Make that 50 so you can make size 50.
50.
Susan likes 50. Right, Susan?
Yes, I like 50.
All right, cool.
Okay.
Oh, so it's drawing the number.
So connect that with reset. So, or move underneath, put move 5 or something, or move 1 or move 10. I don't.
Sure.
Move, yeah, now see what happens. Click again.
Yeah, but she's not changing the number. So now let's make a for loop. If you go back to control,
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right.
and now if you scroll down, you'll find a thing called for, or scroll up, I guess, because we were too far down. See that one, for I equals 1 to 10?
Oh, uh-huh.
Okay, grab that and put your stuff inside of there. And instead of Fibonacci 4, let's do Fibonacci I. So grab the I off of the 4 thing there. You can grab that I
Oh, got it.
in where the 4 is. Okay, and now let's see what that does. Do a reset. Whoa, look at that.
Ooh,
Oh,
sorry.
Maybe make
You could put use draw text, instead of move 10, use draw text ... Space, space.
Um,
No, no, no. Do
So-
not change that.
text off of motion palette. Get another draw.
oh,
text.
motion, get another draw text.
Yeah,
And replace move with draw text.
yeah, it's a little bit farther down.
Oh,
Just go down a
um,
little bit far. You have to scroll down a little bit far. There it
yeah,
is.
okay.
So replace hello with ...
And take out the move.
Yes. Or just one, a couple of spaces, space. That's all. And now try it.
Yeah, look at that.
That's, and
Yep.
do a zoom to fit. Great.
It works.
Yeah.
Wow,
Isn't that
okay.
beautiful? I think
Yeah.
that's so beautiful.
So the for I is equals 1 to 10 is going to go in order, correct? No matter
Right.
what.
Go in order. It always goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, like that. So we're just generating one after another. So our reporter is, we've made a recursive function with a stop rule. Fibonacci number figures out what Fibonacci number is by calling Fibonacci number, which takes a little while to get your head wrapped around, but it's a really powerful idea that gets used all over the place. So now we're going to move on. And does everybody have a working Fibonacci number reporter?
We should maybe have a tinkering time.
Yeah, should have a quick tinker to get everybody to get a Fibonacci number working and do whatever you want with it. It doesn't have to be this. I mean, so for example, you could make, instead of drawing text, you could draw a square with a side based on the size of the Fibonacci number.
Maybe you could show the code for Fibonacci.
Yeah, open Fibonacci up again, please.
Edit Fibonacci. Edit. No, oh, okay, good. Edit it.
Great, there we go.
So give everybody a chance to do it.
So sorry, in getting situated between screens, what happened for me was I missed the very beginning. When you did it, I followed the rest, but the very top Fibonacci number,
Yeah.
that's what I don't know how to create.
Okay, so
See, you can't
Excellent.
blink in this. You cannot blink when you're
I-
doing this stuff.
I understand, but once you blink, you can't go back.
the first thing you have to do is you have to make sure you're making a reporter and not a command. Okay, because a reporter, so when you made it, the block, if you made a reporter, it would have stuck that report 1 block in. Did you get one of those when you made the?
Honestly, since
it.
then I canceled what I did because I was just
Okay.
lost.
Do
All
a
right.
fib.
Well, Elin, why don't you show her? Let's make a block called Sarah.
Oh,
So go ahead and say, okay,
Yeah, we'll make a new one. It's the Sarah
and go to the plus.
and hit reporter.
Now click on reporter. Here's the part, Sarah.
Right.
And then go type
Then call it Sarah.
Saranacci.
Saranacci. I like that, Walter.
All
I
right.
mean, you could have chosen any category. You see that you could have chosen any category?
The plus symbol's always there. Is that what you're saying?
What? No, it's
Cynthia, that doesn't
correct.
matter. That's not her confusion. Her confusion is adding the argument, the number thing.
I don't agree with you, but anyway, okay, I'll shut up.
That's what she said.
So
but-
go
Yeah.
to the plus now,
Yep.
Yeah,
and then your input is number.
type in
Sarah's number. So click on title text
Mhm.
and then type in number,
Got it.
okay, and say okay.
and now
And
hit,
then click
yeah.
on the plus after number and click, and now it's already on input name, so put number.
She could have skipped the title text. Well,
Yes, you could have.
Okay, so now you have number.
and
so
you
the-
see how the report block appears.
Mm-hmm.
The system knows that with reporters need a report block.
Okay. Okay. So, and this is the point at which you applied to get it on the left-hand sidebar or not yet?
No,
As soon as, well, if you hit apply, it'll show up on the left in the palette.
Mm-hmm.
click on apply.
And now if you scroll down to the bottom of your palette, whatever palette you made this on, it
Yep.
should be there. So there it is, Serenacci.
Okay.
All right. It's not like Scaramucci, your unit of time. Yeah, we could make this be a reporter reports back time.
Yes,
That it's an obscure political joke. I
go
apologize.
to operators and get time.
Yep.
Sarah, I put the whole block, reporter block in the chat.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Scroll up and you'll find time or something. See what square root, put your cursor on that. Put your cursor,
Oh, square?
yeah, there on that triangle. No,
No.
just put your cursor on the triangle.
Oh, got it.
And you see all these things. Well, it doesn't have time there. Sorry. I thought it did. Do you know where it is? I think in sensing.
Maybe. I don't think that,
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. I mean, I don't think we really need to implement this.
okay, sorry, but you mentioned it, so
Yeah.
I,
Yeah, Scaramucci was a
so this will do nothing.
yeah. But we
Okay, if you say, okay, it's fine, it'll do nothing. If you want to delete it, then you have to do it explicitly. If you want to add to it,
Right.
edit it.
Anyway, I think we should move on and make our Nautilus.
Yep,
All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our Fibonacci. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the Fibonacci number as the size of a square, the size of a side of a square. But since the Fibonacci numbers are small, they start with 1, 2, 3. That's not going to stitch very well, so, little short things. So let's multiply the Fibonacci number result by, say, size, maybe. Yeah, let's multiply it times.
we're going to scale,
Yeah.
right?
Let's make a variable called scale. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to take that variable, we're going to set scale to something. So grab a set right there below scale, right there, set.
Oh,
Okay, grab one of those. And you can even stick that at the top there by your running stitch or something. Yeah, leave it there. That's fine. Set scale. And we're going to set scale to, say, I don't know, 50. We can change that later. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to draw a square. So we're going to need a repeat 4 because you know how to draw squares. And we're going to do a move. and a turn. So turn 90. Okay, so let's just see, make sure that draws a square. So to reset.
Should make it a little bigger.
Well, actually, let's use our size oh, do it now. Yeah, let's try that. Now let's grab an operator, the times operator, and stick that into the move. How far we're going to move is going to be times. And we'll use our variable, our scale variable. And that's going to be, so some number times scale. So stick that in there. And now let's put in our Fibonacci number thing you got right there. Yep, stick that on the left-hand side of the times. And we'll put a Fibonacci number in, your favorite Fibonacci number. Okay, and then if you hit the set scale thing at the top,
Mm-hmm.
hit that so that scale actually has a value, because right now it's 0. There, now scale's 50. Now you hit your repeat 4, move Fibonacci, and it drew a nice big square. So now let's do this. Let's take that repeat you just made and drop that into your for loop instead of the draw text stuff. So get rid of the stuff you already have in your for loop. And stick your Fibonacci, stick that in instead. And instead of doing 8 each time, we're going to do I. So stick I in for I, grab that I and stick that in instead of the 8. So now we're going to draw a bunch of squares, and the size of a square is going to be based on the Fibonacci number. So let's do a reset. And then set scale, and then let's do it, see what we get. Look at that, it worked. So we got a bunch of squares, and the squares keep on getting bigger because our Fibonacci numbers get bigger. But they don't get bigger in arithmetic progression, they get bigger based on the Fibonacci numbers.
Is it just picking is it going in sequence?
Yeah, it's going in sequence. The for loop always goes in sequence. So
Yeah.
So these are actually what we're doing. These squares are the cells in our Nautilus. But now all we have to do is we've got to arrange those squares so they form the Nautilus shape. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to go back to the motion palette. And can you go and find the arc? See the arc right there. Yeah, grab that and stick that after repeat. After the repeat. No, after the, yeah, right there. Perfect. And instead of doing an arc radius 50, we're going to do an arc with a radius of our Fibonacci times scale. So make a duplicate of that whole thing.
Oh.
Yeah. Make a duplicate, including well, you need
With the move?
scale too. You need
Oh, yeah, got it.
So yeah, duplicate from there, right? And stick that into the radius of the arc. Oh, you missed a part.
Oh,
No, throw that
oh,
away.
the scale.
Yeah. Lost
yeah.
that. This is why oh, never mind. I really find this frustrating. Grab it from the edge, yeah. No, from the X maybe, from the multiply sign. It's a safe place to, yeah, grab it from there. And stick it in. You keep going.
Yeah, I'll get it.
It's not you, it's the interface design.
I think I accidentally
Grab it
discarded it.
from the X.
Let me try again.
Yeah, grab from the X. Or yeah, there.
There.
Almost had it.
No,
Oh, oh.
There you go. Got it. Okay. And now one more thing to do is instead of doing 30 degrees in our arc radius, our arc, we want to go 90 degrees.
you can't see it.
Yeah, it's off the, yeah. So change that to 90 instead of 30. And let's see what happens.
Do I need to
You can do a reset. Let's do a reset.
reset?
And then scale to zoom to fit.
But it's too big. It's much
How-
too big.
All right, so
Yeah,
instead of going to 10, let's stop at, say, 5. And then do you gotta redraw it. Gotta do a reset and yeah.
I think the scale is too big too, but click on,
I'm trying to get my
yeah, do reset view and then the zoom to fill.
Yeah.
Click on reset
oh, got it.
and then, yeah.
There we go. Hey,
Wow,
cool. So you just made a Nautilus.
nice. Yeah.
Awesome. So we had made the cells and we arranged the cells by just making them spiral around. We didn't have to use 90. If you put a different number in the 90, it'll be a slightly different shape.
Should I try that?
Or try something else, yeah. Sure, let's see what that does. That's kind of cool too. You know, and if we wanted to the Nautilus, you know, wouldn't necessarily have to be a square, it could be some other shape. But the idea that it's growing based on the Fibonacci rule
Mhm.
is what makes it work.
Well,
So I think it's time for Tinker Time again. Let people play around with their Fibonacci and see if they can make some kind of Nautilus type shape with it. They can either do what we did or something else.
Should I go ahead and stop sharing? So,
yes,
Yeah, we'll let people start to tinker.
well,
Oh, well, maybe we should share so they can see your program. Sorry.
but put it back to 90. I can't stand looking at that. You'll excuse me. Try set the scale to 30. And then do a 4 to 6, 1 to 6, for I equals 1 to 6. Leave,
mhm. Should I reset?
yes, please. Click on set.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, she did.
No, she didn't before. Huh. Okay, that's, you could still see what happens if you did it to 7, for I equals 1 to 7.
7.
Yeah. This time you don't have to click on set. You can just go to 4.
A little too big. It just went off the edge. So
But
maybe,
that's beautiful. See, I love that when it looks like that. That's my, except I'd like it going in the other,
yeah. Well,
we
this one looks like a
jump on top.
corn of plenty. We can fill it.
What?
Looks like a cornucopia.
Yeah.
It does.
Oh, yeah, that's,
So we can fill it with turtle stitch flowers. That would be lovely.
so if we made the scale 25, would that be okay?
Let's find out.
No, you have to click on set. You have to click on set. Yep.
Yeah.
Now try it.
Still a
It's a little too big, but see that, that's sort of like, for me, perfection. So make it 20 or
20?
22 or 22. You can see it's 10.51 and we want it to be no bigger than 10. Do you see where I'm click on 4? That made it. Do you see the size is now 9.25 by 573?
Yes, uh-huh.
That's what I keep looking at. The centimeters, and 10 by 10 is the biggest for my machine.
Oh, so it fits in the,
Some machines are bigger.
right.
And yes, that's what I focus on in recite. But see, I think, now what if we wanted to flip it? What do you have to do to flip it? Do we start by turning the turtle in a different direction? I don't know.
Hmm.
But that's the kind of thing. Like before you run it, turn the turtle 180 degrees and see if that helps. It's away at the top. Turn, yeah.
Would I just click on that? Um,
Before you click on 4. So do a reset.
Oh.
Click on reset. Click on turn 180. And now click on 4. Which one do you like? Walter, which one do you like?
I like them all. And the wonderful thing is that once you stitch this, you can take your piece of material.
Yeah, right. Oh,
I
so-
wanted to show you a little variation. If you look at this, what I did is before the arc radius, I put in at Walter's suggestion, I put in a tatami stitch.
Ah,
but of what thickness?
Oh, I
What
don't
are the
remember.
dimensions? Because just tatami, we could try it and you'll see it'll blow up.
Oh, yeah, I think it was in the 20s. Just a second, let me go find it. Let me go.
yeah. I mean, I tried it where I just replaced my square. Instead of me using a square, I drew a tatami of the size. I used the size and the tatami based on the Fibonacci number and the scale.
Yeah,
And that worked pretty well. It's a little bit, I did it with colors just to
Yeah.
make it more fun. And
yeah.
I think I have a output of it somewhere I can share if I can
We'll
find.
just put tatami in and see what it does for the first round,
Yeah.
Be daring.
So Walter, for what you said, where you used a different stitch for the square,
Right.
you had to have broken up where it says for I equals, not the for I part, that whole space, right? So that your stitches were, you had two different stitch setups.
Let me share my screen real quick and I'll show you.
Thank you.
Oop, didn't let me do it. Let's see. Share screen. So I was playing around with a few different ways of doing this with color and texture and things, but each of these squares is basically a tatami stitch where the width is the Fibonacci number. And then I made it be, I didn't make it be centered so that it would draw on the, start from the upper left and draw the square. But otherwise it's basically the same. Then I made my arc by switching back to the running stitch. And I also, after I drew my tatami stitch, I had to go back to where I started so the arc could get drawn in the right place. But yeah, it's basically the same thing. And I did it, I mean, I could do it without changing the color, and let me do that. Extract.
What did it do with the Fibonacci 1
Um,
or 0?
I'm sorry, what did I do with
It never did 0. So what did it do when it was 1?
Oh, it's this one. It's right at the very beginning because I've got a scale. So I've got a scale here. So I was doing scale 10. So let me run it again and I'll do it. Yeah, I don't have turbo mode, but it goes a little bit too fast. You can see. So that's the tatami stitch. So I'm just using it to make these filled areas instead of,
Oh, that's not what Susan showed, and that's not what I expected. Okay, now I understand. Because the other thing you could do is put a pen up and pen down and just get the curve.
yeah. Yeah, you don't need the square at all. So we could do that too.
Yeah, if you did a pen up around the moves, that would be
I don't need the move in this case.
what?
I don't even need the move because I've got my arc. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
So the square was to do the cell and the arc was to reposition the
I
cell.
think it looks better in squares.
Yeah, I think it's nicer with the squares or, yeah. as well.
It's amazing.
But I was playing around with all different ways of doing the color, and I don't feel like I've got a good handle on control of color, and but also dealing with color is such a pain because you have to keep on changing your threads. So
Right. But trying a satin stitch would be nice
all right, we can do that.
with making it something like 10.
Satin stitch 10.
Yeah, I think it's still too wide, but I could, because in my head it's different than tatami.
Yeah,
See what that does.
like that, you mean?
Yeah.
So I think it'd be fun to, again, to maybe make the size expand a little bit as the
Oh, yeah, you can do that.
right. So we could take this, let's steal this Fibonacci. See what this does. Whoa, look at that.
Ooh,
Kind of cool.
what did you use?
All right, so I just made the satin stitch width vary with the Fibonacci number.
Oh,
It does look like a Nautilus. That's starting to get pretty good.
Well, you could also try using the I always forget its name, the cross stitch.
All right, we can do that.
And cross stitch has a really interesting pattern when it gets bigger. It gets very loose, that's all.
use the Fibonacci number by Fibonacci number and see what happens.
Ah, I'm just
I put in the chat, I put my simple one in the chat. I used tatami 15 by 15. And instead of having it in the center, because I wanted it to follow the box, because I
Right.
like the box, I took it on the edge. So you can see in the tatami stitch, I moved the little stop and go next to center is usually, ooh, wow. Wow.
See, the problem is that it looks beautiful, and when you use the machine, they're very loose. Those
Yeah, enough density in the yeah.
in the thread, in the length.
Yes, the length of the one axis of the X and the other axis of the X is only one stitch.
The cross stitch is so beautiful, but expanding it means that you've got loose threads. And so if you want to frame it, that's okay. But if you were having it something that you wear or something, you'd catch it.
Ooh, we're getting.
That's-
Make the interval like 15. And then we can change it, but let's see what it looks like. Ooh.
Let's go.
Interesting.
You guys should tinker with your Nautilus. Logistical question for Susan and Cynthia. I don't think in 15 minutes we're going to really get very far with the snowflake. We could start to introduce it.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. But I think people should play with their Nautilus first for a few minutes.
Okay.
But you
Well-
can see, there are different ways of tinkering with it, like we've been just doing.
Well, as long as they have the code, it might be a thing they can do later, and
Yeah.
we should go on.
Okay,
Okay, we're going to start something. Walter's going to start a new. He's going to do a fractal.
yeah. So
A
this is,
cop snowflake. I'm showing the one printed out.
right, we're gonna make one of those, but I don't think we're gonna get through the whole thing.
Yeah.
But we can get started on the basic idea. And so let me share my screen again. And I just want to show the real quick from the notes. So we're going to sort of try to get to this idea of a snowflake. And you can see that the snowflake can get more and more dense depending on, again, how far into our recursion we go. And the basic idea behind a Koch snowflake, and we'll go through this exercise all together, is I'm going to draw a line, but instead of drawing the line all at once, I'm going to draw the line broken up into thirds. So I'm going to take each step in the line is only 1/3 of the move. So I end up with 3 lines to make 1 line, 3 line segments to make 1 longer line segment. And then what I'm going to do is, this is the basic rule that's going to be in our recursion. So I'm going to take the middle segment and I'm going to replace the middle segment with this triangle. So you can imagine this sort of an equilateral triangle, and I'm going to leave the middle, the base of the triangle out and just draw the other two sides. So I'm going to go along, and instead of just keeping on going across, I'm going to go up and down. And that's our basic building block we're going to use to draw the Koch triangle. And then we can take that basic idea, we can use it with a repeat 3 to make our shape. And then we can define a function for that, a command for that, and use our command. But then this is where it starts to get interesting, okay? And this is what we're going to build up to. So we're going to replace the move with a Koch line. We're going to do our recursion. So every time we draw a line, every time we draw one of these lines, each of these lines we're going to replace with one of our little lines with the triangles. And then each line in that we replace with a line with a little triangle. If you keep on recursing on that, if you keep on doing that over and over again, you end up with your snowflake. So it'll take us a little while to build up to all that, but I want to sort of give you the end result first, and then well, we can end up making things like that. So let's go back to having Finn share her screen.
Elin.
Yeah, Elin, but I
And
prefer.
Finn, oh, the dog, the dog.
Is she willing to be, or do you want another robot? Well.
Okay, all right. Any whoever's this is our robot, and we're going to start with a whole new program.
It's
And-
me, but if somebody else wants to, I'd be happy to.
I think we have so little time. We should
You're
probably
so good at it. I just thought maybe you were worn out.
all right. So the first thing I want to do is just sort of introduce this idea of breaking a line up into 3 parts. So just take, this shouldn't be too complicated, but just take 3 moves. And we want to make a variable called size. Okay, and you can set size to something, I don't know, set size to 100 or. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to move size divided by 3.
Pull out 3 sizes or something. Whoops.
Divided by. And then, yeah, stick a size in the left and then divided by 3. And then replicate that 3 times.
Okay, and put that in the
Move.
move.
Yep. Okay, and then if you just stick all those together. And yeah, then just run, yeah, you can put it all together like that. And then hit your reset and then click on that stack. And it's going to be pretty boring. It's just going to look like a line, but that line is made up of 3 line segments. And now what we're going to do is we're going to replace that middle one. So pull the moves apart. So you have 3 separate moves. So pull that one, the bottom one down quite a bit because we need a little room. Okay, we're going to pull that one out and we're going to put in there, we're going to put in that little triangle instead. So you need you're going to need 3 turns and 1 more move. So grab a turn and you're going to turn and yeah, grab one of those and then grab 2 of the turn the other way, the other direction. 2 turn lefts and a turn right. Okay, so we're going to start with a turn left, and we're going along, we're going to turn left 60 degrees.
That's this one, right? That's,
Yep. I was told counterclockwise wasn't
yeah,
good.
yeah.
And now we're going to duplicate that one of your move blocks because we're going to need 2 more.
Of these?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, and I'll stick that below the turn. And now we're going to turn right clockwise. Take the, and that one's going to be 120. Stick that underneath the move.
Under this one or?
Yep, yeah.
Yes,
Stick it up. Then you need another move.
the move up there that you had, no, leave that one. The other one, the one on the right,
That
pull
one, you-
that down.
and stick that underneath the turn. And then 1 more turn back, we're going to turn back 60. So that you've got your turn, we'll leave that. To put that turn counterclockwise 60. And stick that underneath the, okay. So if you do a reset, and just click on that bottom stack of blocks. That makes our little triangle. So we're going to, basically, we're going to replace that middle move with this chunk of stuff. So
Oh,
if you take that in between those other 2 moves again now. And hit reset again. And if you click on that, bing, you got one. So that's our basic building block. Does everybody sort of understand what we did? We replaced the middle move with that little triangle that we just drew. And if you do it, you can stick that inside of repeat 3. And if after the repeat 3, if we put in a turn 120. Okay, and then if you do reset and then draw that, you'll get, what happened? Why didn't it do the, oh, I'm sorry, my mistake. Put the turn inside of the repeat. We want to turn after we draw each segment, yeah.
mm,
Sorry about that. Boom, we got it. Okay, so that's going to be our basic building block. But now what we're going to do is instead of moving, we're going to call our building block again. So we're going to keep on, and each time we do a move, we're drawing a little segment of our picture, right? We're doing a little run of stitches. But instead of doing the run of stitches, we want to call this function that draws the little 3 things with the triangle in the middle. And so we need to, we're going to make a new action, a new command. So in this case, we're making a command. So hit the plus. And we'll call that, you can just call it Koch line or something. So that's our new command. And we're going to have to pass this command 2 arguments, okay? The first argument is going to be size. So you need to hit the plus on the after line inside the block editor. No, inside the block. Hit after
After
the
line,
it-
got it, yeah.
title text is size. And then we need a size, no, not, it can't hit that plus and the input name of size. Okay, now we need one more thing though. And that is we're going to need a stop rule because otherwise this is just going to keep on going forever and never actually do the stitching. It's just going to keep on subdividing. So we need some way to tell it to stop. So the way we're going to do it is we're going to introduce something called level. So add another hit after size inside the block editor. After size, hit plus, and text titles level. And then input name level. Okay. All right. So now what we're going to do is just like we did with our coin toss or with Fibonacci. Okay. What we're going to do is if level. So we're going to go to an if and under control. Actually, let's grab if then else again. If then else, that one. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Let's just grab the if else, not the if then else. I don't know what the difference is.
This one?
Grab that one, okay? So stick that underneath the in your program. Okay, now we need an go back to operators. And if level is equal to 1, so grab an equal. So and then grab the level from the from on your
Oh,
you grab that level. So level if level is equal to 1, we're just going to move level. So go grab a move block. And we're going to move level steps. So if we get down to the level equals 1, we're just
We're
going
going to move size.
we're going to move size. I'm sorry, move size, not level. Yeah. And otherwise, we're going to call our recursive function. So now hit apply. And at the very bottom of the motion palette, you should find Kochline.
Why don't you stick in that repeat 3?
No, we're going to do that outside of this.
Okay.
Okay, so grab the Kochline size level thing. Yep. And we're gonna end up. You have to stick that inside of your block editor. We'll do one of them, and then we're gonna make actually need 4 of these in the end because we're gonna be basically building something just like what's inside of a repeat thing there, except we're gonna be building it with Koch lines instead of move blocks. So size, we're gonna make size over 3. So the line size is going to be size divided by 3. So you need from your operators palette a divide. And so right in, you can stick that in there and just grab a size from above right there and divide it by 3. And we're going to put level minus 1. So you need a minus. No, you need, I'm sorry. Grab a minus operator.
oh,
Or,
the
plus.
subtraction, the,
Subtraction.
yeah.
Stick that in for level. And grab the level block from above, the level. Yeah, that goes in the left and then 1. Okay, so now that's going to basically call itself with 1 level down. So the size is going to keep on getting smaller and the level is going to keep on getting smaller as we keep on calling. So duplicate this 4 times.
This one block?
Whole thing, yeah. Because we need 4 of those.
Let me see if I can make this.
One more. And now we just have to put our moves, our turns in there. So you want to grab 3 turns from the motion palette, 2 clockwise, 2 counterclockwise and 1 clockwise, just like before. Because we're going to, basically we're making that. So 2 of those and 1 of the other kind of turn. So the first turn goes between the first 2 Koch line sizes.
This-
No, that one,
The,
it's the middle one. That's
oh, got it. Okay.
we do, yeah, right there. And then we do, that one's next. Yeah, and then we do the last one between the final 2. And then we just have to make that all be one big stack. And we just have to set the directions of the turns properly. Not the directions, the size of the turns. So the first one's 60, then 120, and then 60. Okay, and stick that in the else. And save it out and let's see what it does. So let's try a Koch line, yeah. And let's just see what it does. Let's put in a number like 103. And just reset. See if it works. Ooh, look at that. It worked. So now what you can do is grab another repeat. Repeat 3. And then we need a turn at the very end of 120. Yeah, 120. And this is our snowflake. And depending on the level you put, it'll get more or less dense. So try different numbers for level. Maybe try just 1 to begin with. Oh, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
So level 1 is just going to draw lines because remember when we checked, we're calling Koch line with level -1, so that's 0, so that's less than 1, so it's just going to do the move. So it doesn't get any triangles. So let's try level 2. And this time it did 1 of those things each time. Now we're going to replace each segment with, yeah. Okay, keep going. Might want to do a reset first.
Hmm.
And if you zoom in on that, you'll see it's all these little tiny triangles. It's a little bit hard to see because of the stitch density. So maybe if you made the line size bigger.
And make it like 300.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Now you can see it.
Nice.
I think we're sort of
We're
out
at
of-
time. We're at time, Walter. I'm so sad. But
Well-
that was really fun. And
Yeah.
you can find all the directions if you want to play with it in the activity plan.
Yeah.
That
So
I gave you a link for.
I had one comment in terms of our stop rule that we used. We made our stop rule in this case based on level. And we could make our stop rule based on size instead. And what that would mean is that we could control the density of the stitching by saying never let the stitching density get greater than some number. So that way, if we say never make the size less than 10, then we're going to get, no matter how big or small we make our snowflake, we're going to get something that can be stitched. So sometimes you have to do things differently for embroidery than you would do just on the screen.
It's true. I actually used 20 to get it to really stitch nicely. So, I didn't want the stitch, the length to be less than 20 stitches.
Right.
And it did fine on my machine.
Yeah, because if you just let it go, arbitrarily dense, you're going to get a big mess. That's sort of what I'm good at, making messes and making little
And
hair.
density warnings.
Yeah, density warning. So there's in the class notes at the very end, there's an example of how to do that with size instead of level. So you have better control over density. So again, it's sort of one of these things where you have to do things a little different for embroidery than just drawing stuff on screens. So, well, thank you, Cynthia and Susan, for all the help in getting this all prepared.
Any last questions, concerns, cries of outrage? No.
All right.
Sarah says, Sarah and Elin say, thank you, Walter, and that this has
Okay.
been fun. It has been fun, Walter. I so enjoyed working with you this week.
Oh, good.
I'm
Well,
sorry, I have a slightly different approach to
All right.
thinking about recursion. It's something that I did with Seymour Papert, and that is we thought of little people whose job it was to do something, and then they would turn it over. We used to call little men, and that was in the 60s. But you know that I now talk about people. And that is that there's a person who does something and then turns the rest of the job over to another person who turns the job over to another person. And when that guy is done, he reports back by kicking the person above, saying, I've done my job, and so on. And that's kind of what I used to do when I was working with children.
Did you let them kick each other?
Of course.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It was different. We used pencil and paper.
Yeah, originally we planned on doing a bunch more things, doing different types of trees and different types of space filling curves and things like that. But we knew, we barely got through these three things today. So, but there are lots and lots of really fun graphics that rely on recursion. In fact, most of the fancy computer graphic special effects you see these days and the movies all rely on recursion.
But the idea of recursion is that there's a job to be done, and it gets repeated and repeated and repeated. But the values change, the inputs to that job change. They expand, they shrink, but the steps in the job remain the same.
Excellent.
All right.
Well, Cynthia, will you introduce what's going to happen next week?
Next week is going to be very exciting. It's going to be mostly a slideshow from Elizabeth Lloyd, who has experimented with looking at things in nature and thinking about how she would apply those shapes, those ideas to turtle stitch. She's also been exploring things like doing turtle stitch on leaves, doing turtle stitch on other kinds of fabrics. And
Making soft books.
She and Elaine, she made soft books for her grandchild. She made a turtle stitch image of her running. She's a runner. And she and Elaine were part of our 24-week workshop a couple of years ago. And as you can see, they both expanded what's possible in Turtle Stitch, and we're so grateful to them.
What I love about Beth is that she actively finds ways to integrate Turtle Stitch into her life so that she can both do what she loves and practice Turtle Stitch. So like her runs, she documents them in Turtle Stitch, or she wanted to make something for her grandbaby, and she took animals and recreated them in Turtle Stitch for her.
She also is very good at remixing.
Yes, she's
Now,
really.
I don't know how much you have looked at what's online in the Turtle Stitch page. And of course, it gets harder and harder to know. I mean, but she borrowed a lot, and what she did is she transformed it to what, and that's what she will show us next week. We're very excited to have her. She's done a little bit. She's kept up with us a bit and used YouTube.
Yeah. So I put in the chat, Lloyd Crew is her Turtle Stitch name, and you can look her up.